guys, I'm Mihir Joshi, and welcome to another episode of the MJ Show. And I call this the MJ Show Sneakerverse Edition because we are going to be talking to another phenomenal person in the sneaker space, not just on YouTube and Instagram, but in general. I've had the pleasure of talking to some really interesting people, and the person that I have on my show today, I love his videos very, very much because before I pick up any show, it's not like I have 100 sneakers right now, but even if I'm going to pick up one and it's adding to my small collection, I do a ton of research before I go out and get anything. And he's one of my go-to guys before I pick up anything, because 9 times out of 10, anything that I want to pick up, I think he's reviewed it. And I love the way he reviews it. Reviews the sneakers. It's pretty much no nonsense. He gives you history. He gives you all sorts of information that you need in terms of sizing and everything, and it kind of helps you make up your mind about wanting to pick up a sneaker. So, without any further delay, let me welcome on the MJ show the very fabulous Sean Go. Hey, Sean, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Hey, so you know what? Let's dive straight in. Firstly, man, I got to thank you for the amazing content that you've been putting up for what, about 5 years now? Or seven?
YouTube has been 5 years. Yeah,
5 years,
it's
yeah.
5 years.
I
Yeah,
think you said 2016 is when you began, right?
correct. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, over the last 5 years, just ballpark figure. Do you remember how many sneakers you've reviewed?
In the past 5 years,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say over 1,000 for sure.
Good Lord, man.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Does that mean you own over 1,000 pairs, or do you eventually maybe resell them, or do you like give it back? Do you take it from friends and review it and then give it back? How do you manage 1,000 pairs, man?
Yeah, so I used to be in the camp where I would buy and review things that I only want to keep in my collection, but
Yeah.
ever since my channel has kind of taken off and I've grown and grown and grown, it's become kind of impossible for me to keep everything. So usually what I do is I try to stick with shoes that I still like, and those are the ones I try to review, but then if I don't love it, then I'll just try to either resell them, hook up a friend, or just, get rid of them somehow.
Fair. All right. So now let's get back. Let's start off as I always do when I have somebody who comes on my show. I call it the origin story. What is the origin story of Sean Go? How did you get into sneakers to begin with? And oh, by the way, I got to give a shout out to Sean's new podcast. It's called the Channel 8 podcast. Did I get that right? I have the
Yes, that's
worst memory,
correct.
but I am saying this because I have the worst memory because I literally heard the first episode of the podcast like about an hour ago. So I was just hoping, yeah, I remember the name. The first episode actually does talk a little bit about his beginning, but I want to go deeper into it. But if you want to get like the short version of it, you can check it out in his first episode. And I think he's just put out his 11th episode. So follow him on whatever podcast streaming platforms you listen to, and of course you can check it out right here on YouTube as well. But yeah, tell me a little bit about how did your love for sneakers begin?
So how it started, I'd say I was a basketball fan first. So
Mm,
I grew up in the '90s, and I was fortunate to watch Michael Jordan's second three-peat throughout, 95, 96, 97, and 98, all those years. And then the Toronto Raptors. Like, I'm from Toronto, Canada, so we got our team in '95. So since around the mid '90s, I was a huge basketball fan, and I was never that great playing ball, but I always looked up to Michael Jordan, and one way to be like Mike was to wear his
well,
shoes.
yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And I grew up from a pretty traditional Asian household in the sense that my parents would never buy me expensive shoes or anything like that. But when I was around 12 years old, my aunt's boyfriend at the time, he gave me a pair of Air Jordan 12s.
Oh,
So that
lovely.
was that was really my first taste at owning an Air Jordan, and then ever since then I've always appreciated them from afar. But it
Yeah.
wasn't until I started working in like late high school years, I started making my own money, and then I could buy the shoes that I wanted myself. And ever since then, it's kind of been a nonstop love affair for sneakers. And here we are today, you know?
That's awesome, man. So when you said you watched the second three-peat, what was the sneaker that he was wearing in the first win in the second three-peat? Do you remember? Was it the Air Jordan 7?
Yeah. So he wore the 11s, 12s, 13s,
11s,
and
12s,
then
13s.
the very last shot was the 14th.
Got it. So when you got the 12 as your first sneaker, that must have really connected with you, considering, like you said, you were able to watch that on television and then to get a sneaker that he actually wore in in that period, that must have been really 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 special. But what was the first Jordan that you really wanted to get? Like, you're not the one that you got gifted, but like,
Yeah.
you wanted to go out, spend money and get. What was that?
So the one that really got me buying
Hmm.
was the Air Jordan 21.
Oh yeah.
Surprisingly, yeah. So
Yeah.
the Air Jordan 21, I don't know, for some reason, I just love the design, and I would see it sitting at Foot Lockers and those sort of stores in Toronto, and it's just so expensive. I think it's probably around $300, but
Wow.
it was just a beautiful shoe. And I think that pair, my mom actually decided to buy me. This is my first and last Air Jordan that she ever got me, but it was probably for my birthday or something like that. But she got me the 21, and then after that, I bought like the Air Jordan 4 Mars that released during that time, and then the Fire Red 3s, and then just kind of snowballed after that. But I'd say the 21 was the one that really started it off.
That's awesome, man. I mean, you know what? This, by the way, for everybody watching right now, is the best possible advice you can get from any sneakerhead, any sneaker content creator. And literally every person I see creating content on sneakers has said this at some point of time or the other. Buy what you think you will love, what you'd love to see on your feet, what you love to have around you. You know, when you wake up in the morning and you come out in your living room, if you've just got one pair of sneakers, it should be something that gives you joy and not something that's necessarily hype or necessarily something that will, appreciate in value. All of that is secondary. Like, and I've said this in, again, in multiple videos. While I'm a new sneaker collector, I'm not a new collector. You can see I'm sitting in front of my comic book collection. I have the same rule for that. I'm going to buy the comics that I love, that I want to read. And if they appreciate in value or whatever, that's a secondary thing. I don't ever think about, oh, I'm going to be selling off my comics and making so much money. That's not the intent behind being
Mhm.
a collector. Sean, do you agree with me on that?
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like a lot of the culture has kind of lost their way in that sense
Yeah.
because it's so much about the dollars and how much people can make from reselling the shoes that it's kind of lost what it was originally all about, was about wanting to wear these shoes and feel good and look good wearing the shoes.
Absolutely. So, so it started off with you collecting and buying a few sneakers as you started earning a little bit of money. But this sneaker business, or, well, not business for you, but creating content around sneakers, that's not your primary thing, right? I mean, that's
No.
not what you do professionally. What do you do?
No.
Tell everybody a little bit
Yeah,
about
so
that.
my background's in accounting and finance actually. So it's completely not related to sneakers, but I feel like having that balance and
Yeah.
having something where you can pursue your passions and have fun doing
Mm-hmm.
after your 9 to 5, it's just so important to have that balance.
Absolutely. How do you manage it, by the way? What I mean by that is creating engaging content for YouTube takes effort, and you know it, and I know it. It's not something that, you can just get up in the morning and say, hey, I'm going to make a nice video. There is a lot of thought, a lot of preparation that goes behind making every video. So, having a full time 9 to 5 job, how are you able to balance it? Do you have like a proper a schedule in place? Do you have a calendar where you know that, okay, you know what? These are the days on which I'm going to shoot. This is the way I'm going to be making my content. What's your process?
It's kind of like, because of the nature of my videos, it's not for example like a vlog where I can just decide today I'm going to go here, tomorrow I'm going to go there. It's more dictated by like the actual shoes I have and
Yeah.
release dates and things like that, right? So because
Mm-hmm.
of that, I'm kind of at the mercy of when the shoes are releasing. So with
Mm-hmm.
that said, it's really about having that, I guess you can say it's about being efficient with your time
Mm.
and finding that balance of when you can, whenever you can get it done and fitting it in your schedule. But I'm fortunate in the sense that my wife, she's actually a content creator as well, but in the foodie, she's like a food blogger on Instagram, you can say.
Oh, very
So
cool.
she's pretty busy doing her own thing. So it kind of benefits both of us in that we each have our own little, passion project that we
Yeah. Yeah.
spend a lot of time on.
And that's so important. Once again, I mean, like you said, not everybody is a full-time content creator. Not everybody is in the entertainment space. There are so many content creators who've got full-time day day jobs, and then they still want to make content. I think the way I look at it now, content creation is pretty much along the line. I'm going to go way back in time, man. When I was a kid and we used to collect stamps, or collect comic books. I mean, well, I still collect comic books, but this was what it was. Like if you've got your school and you've got your studies and everything else, you got to have something which is like a really good hobby to follow. And this is a great hobby which can also become kind of like a profession for a lot of you out there. And I keep coming back to you guys and not just talking to Sean, because I know so many of you have been asking questions, and especially in India, I think sneaker culture is just beginning to sort of blossom. I think, Sean, you and everybody in Canada and United States are, I think, at least 25, 30 years ahead of us in terms of just the access that you have. Like, what I mean by that is, okay, while it's as difficult for you to buy a new sneaker that drops on Nike as it is for us, because well, you guys have the app, we have the website, and it's almost impossible to get a win on either platform. But you guys still have the opportunity of going into something like a Foot Locker or Stadium Goods or whatever else, and still picking up the shoes. Maybe they're a little more expensive than retail, but you can still pick it up. Over here, it's not that easy. There are literally two stores which legitimately sell sneakers, all these good quality sneakers, and about three or four stores which are resellers who have a brick and mortar store. So
Hmm.
in a country as big as India, and it's humongous, there are literally like five entities which have got brick and mortar stores where people can go, walk in, experience sneakers, and then buy them. Most of the other people right now are just reliant on resellers who are selling through Instagram. So, with that said, what is the advice that you want to give new sneaker collectors in India, from two perspectives? One, from the perspective of somebody who's wanting to be a collector, which we kind of spoke about right now, and one for somebody who wants to help grow the scene, who wants to be a part of the reselling game, or maybe they want to be a part of reselling plus content creation game. What's the advice you want to give people here who are starting off?
I think even though in today's world it's so technologically advanced, but I feel like the same principles apply today as they did back when I started in like the mid 2000s. And that's really, networking is so important
Yeah,
because, like, I know today there's StockX and there's Instagram and everything's just all connected together. And whereas back then, I had to do a lot more legwork and actually connect with people, network with people, get those relationships so that if I needed a shoe from Japan or something, for example, like I know a guy in Japan and he would help me. So things like that, it's still a very important lesson that you should apply today because
mhm,
yes, things are available on Instagram and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, especially for you guys, because access is so difficult, having those key relationships in certain areas around the world is going to be so important to be able to gain access to the shoes, grow your collection, and just get
yeah.
your stuff out there if you're a content creator in the sneaker space.
Yeah, that's great advice, man. I mean, especially, I didn't think about going beyond the country, but yeah, I mean, for sure, that makes a lot of sense, because there are certain sneakers, like you said, which could probably be specific to certain countries, to certain regions, and to be able to get that, growing your network is super important. Great advice for everybody watching right now. And for what do you feel about the resale game right now? Because it's become so, I'd say, skewed towards resellers and towards the guys who've got bots and things like that. Because people who are just legitimate collectors are finding it more difficult to be able to pick up the sneakers that they want when they drop, and they have to rely on the resale game to be able to get what they want. And then sometimes it's kind of crazy, man. Especially say when the hype sneakers come out, like an Air Jordan 1 High comes out, it'll drop in India, for instance. The retail price is about 14,000 rupees, which is what, 160, $170 for you guys in the US, or a little more, about 250, $260 for you in Canada. And then they'll resell at like 40,000 rupees over here, which is three times the price. Literally on the same evening, it drops in the morning. These guys, they figured out a way to get hooked up with these shoes, and by evening they are selling it at three times the price. So thoughts about that?
I used to be the type of guy that hated resellers. Like I hated the fact that they were taking pairs away from me and other legitimate collectors and selling it just for money. But I feel like over the past couple years, I've my opinion has sort of shifted, and it's kind of at the point where this is like the new reality.
Mm.
Like you're whether you love it or hate it, like it's something you just have to deal with.
Yep.
And either if you want to continue with buying sneakers and being involved in the culture, you're just gonna have to adapt. So for me, I don't have a bot. Like I don't even know. Like I wish I did because it would probably save me a lot of money in the long run. But I feel like leveraging, like I said earlier, leveraging my relationships, networking, getting to know people, and then not every release is going to be guaranteed, but like if you have those relationships in place, then
Yeah,
you can get access to certain shoes at certain times, and at other times when you have to pay resale, that's sort of like
part of the game.
it's part of the game, and you kind of factor that in as instead of the shoe retailing for 250, chances are I'm not going to be able to hit like a super limited Travis Scott release. So just budgeting in whatever that expected resale price is in your actual personal financial budget and
Yeah.
going forward with that, so you have that money to allocate to that specific shoe.
I agree. You know what? While my question might have seemed like I'm kind of annoyed with it, I also kind of respect it in a way because, well, listen, there's nobody who's not going to be annoyed with it. Okay, I'm sure Sean feels the bite of having to pay $100, $200, $300 more for us to pay like 15, 20,000 rupees more for a pair of shoes. But I get it. At the end of the day, it's a business and it's all about supply and demand. I mean, some of the shoes that come out, they are in limited quantities, and if somebody has figured out a way to get them and you really really want to get them, there's got to be a little bit of a premium that you're willing to pay. But then you figure out ways to make it as less as possible, create relationships, create bonds, make it worth their while to work with you and give you the best possible deal that they can. But at the same time, remember, these are the guys who've woken up early in the morning, they figured it out, they've invested in bots, whatever else, they've done whatever they need to do
Yeah.
to be able to get those shoes. So respect the hustle and I
Yeah.
guess pay up.
And even like pre-COVID, those days when we were able to line up in stores,
Yeah,
like people, those guys would be lining up the day before, just
yeah,
sitting on their chairs outside the store for
that's true. That's true.
almost like a full day. And for me, my time's worth more than that, so I would gladly pay someone. Like I feel like that's money well deserved because
Yeah,
it's
you're the
not
ones.
easy.
Yeah, you're the ones who are hustling to get the
Yeah.
sneakers, and that's their business. So you can't disparage them for doing that. All right. You know what? We've talked a little bit about the origin story for you, but now let's talk about for every content creator on YouTube. There's that kind of a milestone moment, that one video which really sort of kicks off, or people get in touch with you saying, "Hey man, I really enjoyed that." And then you see a spike in the kind of response that you're getting for your content. People start going and watching your older content. People go and are excited. They've hit the subscribe button, they've hit that bell button, they want to know when you're putting out new content. What was that? Was there a video like that for you, or has it just been a gradual growth of the entire channel over a period of 5 years?
When I look back at all the videos I've made in the past 5 years, it surprises me to see which ones actually do the best because it's usually that's the non-hyped shoes, the ones that I would not expect to do well, that
Yeah,
actually do the best. And just looking at the trends of my subscribers and views and things like that, it's been pretty linear. There hasn't been. It's not like I was like featured on Complex or Hype Beast or something, and then all of a sudden I woke up the next day and then I'm you know
correct.
much more popular than I was the night before. But it's been just like day after day, week after week, month after month of just being consistent, putting out that the same level of quality in videos that people expect,
Yeah.
and people have just kind of discovered me throughout the past few years, and it's grown that way.
And I can't begin to tell you how important consistency is. Every content creator who makes great content on YouTube will tell you, don't worry about the fact that your first video got 300 views, 500 views. Just keep making great content. Believe in yourself, have a plan, and keep making content. I have been at the MJ show for the last 7.5 years, and it's not like, and I've had some of the biggest names in the Bollywood music industry come on the show, and it's still not like the show is flying off. But I've been doing it because I know that there is an audience for it. The artists who want to come now, the sneaker space people who want to come and talk to me, or do want to come and talk to me, so that keeps me motivated to keep making more content. So don't give up if you feel that in your first 5 videos you've not got the kind of explosion of views that you expect. That rarely ever happens. You will find very few content creators who will say that, oh man, that I just put up one video and like the next day I had like a million followers. That doesn't happen. That's not the reality of YouTube. But you know what? I have to say though, over the last few months, you've been able to talk about all the really good sneakers that have come out. Have you been able to cop all of them? like you said, through your connections and everything? Or in these recent few sneakers, is it that these are all sneakers that you really want to have? Because I've been seeing your channel, and literally every sneaker that people want to talk about, you've got it, man.
I think in the past year and a half or two, I've taken YouTube. I've looked at my YouTube at much more as a business instead of
Yeah,
a hobby, and
correct.
because of that, like I'll
Invest.
consider buying shoes at resale prices
Yeah,
if like the ROI on the views I'm getting makes it worth it. You know what I mean? So in
absolutely.
that sense, like not every single shoe I buy is something I really really want, but I
Yeah,
feel like a lot of those shoes are shoes that people want to see my videos on.
right,
So in
right.
that sense, like no, I'm not hitting on every single pair at retail, and a lot of them are I'm buying from StockX and other resellers and things like that. But
Yeah,
just by measuring like the analytics and looking at
yeah.
it from a financial standpoint, to me it makes sense because I get that return in the views.
Brilliant. How are you getting sneakers almost on the day of the? I mean, I know there are early pairs and things like that, and I think some of them are available on StockX and Goat and whatever else. But I love to see the fact that literally on the day of the release, so many YouTube content creators have already got the shoe, including I've seen you've been able to put out some videos on the day of the release, or maybe even a couple of days before the release. How have you been able to go about that? I know I ask you this question again from the perspective of Indian viewers who very likely do not have those connections. And even StockX and Goat, for us to get it into India, becomes super duper expensive. It's not just the resale prices, but it's also the customs duties
Yep.
and the shipping and everything. So by the time it comes here, for you, if you're paying two times the price of a new shoe, kids in India are probably paying three or four times.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for me, I don't know. I can't speak on other YouTubers because I'm not sure what they do and what connections they have. But for me, I've been fortunate to be in Canada because there's not many similar sort of creators in the Canadian landscape. So
Hmm.
because I started my channel when I did, I guess I'm one of the larger YouTube channels that deal with sneakers.
Hmm.
So that kind of gives me a bit more leverage when I'm having these working relationships with Canadian boutiques and Canadian stores. So
Very
I've
cool.
been fortunate to be able to partner up with a couple of the boutiques here in the Ontario, which is our province, like our area. And sometimes they'll like hook me up with shoes early and I'll promote their store and then I'll be able to um, show my video a bit early.
That's fantastic. Speaking of YouTube, he's almost at 100,000 subscribers right now, guys.
Very close.
If you are watching this video right now, firstly, down in the description below is link to his channel. Make sure you subscribe to it, not just because he's almost at 100,000 subscribers, because he's got great content. He's putting out great videos on a weekly basis. There's great stuff for you to sort of look at before you take that decision. Hey, do I want to go and buy this? And come on, let's be honest, guys, these shoes are expensive. You can't go and buy every shoe that drops every week, because like right now we've come to a point where in a month there are close to 40 to 50 releases that are happening even in India. I don't even know how many drop over there, and I'm not talking about just the Nike and Adidas ones. If you want to get into sneakers, there's so much more. There's Asics, there's Reebok, there's all the New Balance and all of the brands that you guys are now beginning to collect. So you got to budget things, right? You got to figure out what you want to buy, and to do that you need to be informed about it. And Sean has a channel which can definitely give you a lot of great information. And I've always said, it's not just one. Just don't listen to one. Watch maybe three, four other videos and subscribe to them as well. Support the scene, grow the scene, subscribe to all of these guys. And who knows, maybe you sitting right here in India could be the next content creator that people outside of India could be subscribing to as well. But you're about 100,000. You're going to get to 100,000 hopefully very very soon. Is there something big that you're planning to celebrate that milestone for your channel? To the best of my knowledge, you've not done giveaways and things like that to sort of grow your channel, right? It's just been mostly content.
From the YouTube perspective, it's pretty much just content, but I
Yeah,
do the giveaways on my
on
Instagram
Instagram.
account. Yep.
Got it. Got it. That's a great way of doing things. I think it makes a lot of sense. You're incentivizing people to come join the channel. And once they come on, they discover, that you are making great content and they stick around. So what's the big plan for the 100,000 celebration? Have you got something in mind?
Honestly, the way I work, I'm so in the moment that I haven't even like thought about reaching 100K. Like it's just something that's kind of far in the distance, even though it's not that distant anymore. But
Yeah.
definitely gonna have something planned. I don't know, but stay tuned to my Instagram account, and I guess you'll see.
I'm gonna give you a link to his Instagram handle down here as well, but it's super easy. It's just SGO8. Follow him on Instagram. I'm Mihir Joshi Music on Instagram. You know what? Let's talk about what you have planned for the future. I mean, how do you see your channel growing? Yes, there's that 100K milestone which is going to happen, but what do you want to see happen for the channel? Do you want to see legit collaborations happening with the brands? Has that happened so far? Have you been able to connect with any of the numerous brands that I can see behind you in the background?
Yeah. So again, because like being in Canada, big fish in a small pond, like it's given me a lot more spotlight. So I
Yeah.
have been fortunate to be able to work with a lot of the major brands and a lot of the major stores here.
Mm.
Going forward, like I said, like I'm so I know this is probably bad advice, but I'm just so in the moment that I don't really plan out like my roadmap for the year. I know like going into 2021, the one thing I wanted to venture into was the podcast, just because I felt like it gives me a more intimate and, another sort of avenue for me to communicate with my audience and discuss things that I probably wouldn't normally do on in a video setting.
Hmm.
And I could bring on guests, kind of like how you are, and we could just get to know each other on a deeper level. So that was really my main objective going into this year, and we'll see. Like I don't know how long it's gonna go on for, whether it's 20 episodes, 50 episodes, or 1,000 episodes. We'll see. But yeah, I don't know. Like again, this is all just a side gig, and it's just a hobby and something I'm passionate about. But I don't know. Like that's a
Do
really
you
good question.
see do you see this turning into your full-time gig at some point of time? Maybe 5 years down the line.
As of right now, I don't know if I really even want to,
That's
because
fair.
like to me this is just something I go to have fun, and I don't have to really stress about anything about needing to put out X number of videos to make enough money to feed the family and
That's
pay
true.
for the bills, right? So
That's
as of
true.
now, I'm kind of good having this just off to the side, and then I have my normal 9 to 5 job to cover like the real life bills, and then everything that comes from this is just a bonus.
So, before we started off this episode, guys, I was telling him, I almost joined this late because I was fixated on this one video of his that I was seeing. He's done a review of Kanye's Red Octobers, the Nike Yeezy 2, and man, that's such a beautiful looking shoe. But I gotta ask you, man, over the last 5 years and even before that, you've collected so many shoes. If you had to pick three sneakers from your collection, which were like, which were grails for you, which you now finally have, what would they be?
That's a tough question. So a lot of people throw around that term grail,
Yeah,
and there's no firm definition on what a grail is, but
yeah,
to me personally, my definition is it's if someone told me you can only keep 3 pairs of shoes, get rid of all the rest, what are the three that you would keep?
yeah.
It
Let's go with
actually
that.
wouldn't be like the most hyped, and it wouldn't be like the most limited pairs actually, because
Right,
um like there's different reasons why I love shoes, but
absolutely.
it's not really because of the hype and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
I know number one would definitely be like the Air Jordan 3 white cement. And for those listeners that don't know, that's the one that Michael Jordan wore in the 1988 dunk contest when
dunk
he
contest. Yeah,
jumped from the free throw line. So that's like, to me, that's like the perfect shoe. And then
lovely.
aside from that, like it's so tough. Maybe an Air Jordan 1 Chicago. If I want to go more hyped, maybe like a Air Yeezy 2 Pure Platinum or something like that. But it's tough. Like there's so many amazing shoes in my collection that I love, and as you can see, like I have a hard time cutting down. So
I started off. I told you, before we began again. I saw the Last Dance documentary, and I realized that, hey, man, I don't have a pair of Air Jordans, and I was. This was earlier in the year in January, and I was going to turn 40 in the month of March, and I was like, I'm almost about to turn 40, and I don't have a pair of Jordans. How is that possible? And that got me started off, and now I've got about 9 or 10 pairs, over the last 4 months that I've been able to pick up. And I just went for stuff that I love. So yes, of course, the Chicago colorway or the band colorway, those two were sneakers that I wanted to pick up. But it's as simple as this. I love yellow. And I wanted to get me a pair of yellow sneakers. And the first sneaker that I picked up was the University Gold lows that dropped here in one of the stores, Super Kicks. And I was lucky enough when they do an online thing, it literally sells off within 2 minutes or 3 minutes. I was able to be I was lucky enough to be, and that was the only one time that I've been able to hit at any of these online sales. that I got the sneaker that I wanted. So my first sneaker was not a hype pair. In fact, right now, as the kids call it, they are bricks. They're just sitting in the stores, and people are wanting to buy it at under retail. I paid full retail for it, and I'm super happy because I wanted a really good pair of yellow shoes, and that's what I
Yeah,
got. For
that's the way it
me,
should be, though.
yeah, man. For me, the sneaker that I really want to pick up this year is the Air Jordan 1 Poland. That's going to be my first pair of highs, and I want to get them
Yellow.
yellow. Exactly. I saw it and I was like, oh my god, I have to have it. I'm also a WWE fan, like I told you. Apart from being I do commentary for WWE on television. So the way people in US and Canada hear Michael Cole and Corey Graves, I'm the person whose voice is being heard by a lot of Indian kids because I do the commentary in Hindi live as it happens in the US. And for me, I see a lot of now my eyes have started going down to the feet of these WWE superstars. They are wearing sneakers, and there's a sneaker that Kofi Kingston wears, which I absolutely love, which is the new love, which is again yellow and black. So I
Mhm.
decided that this year I either have to figure out a way to get the new love in my collection, or I've got to get the Polands because those both of those sneakers look really really cool, man. There is no question here. I just wanted to share a little bit of my love for sneakers with you and with everybody else watching right now as well. But you know what? I got to ask you, in the last 1 year, which has been a difficult year, not just for for everybody, for the whole world, but I'm guessing even for collectors of any sort, because you can't go to the stores. I mean, especially for you guys, where you could have gone to stores to pick up sneakers and all that. How has this year been for you from, say, not just a content creation perspective, but just from overall, from the living this one last year perspective?
I feel like things weren't as bad, and then because they weren't that bad, people kind of got complacent, and then right now it's pretty bad. So we're on a complete lockdown as of I think last week. I think so. All
Man.
the stores are closed except like grocery stores, and but honestly, this past year and a half, it's felt like every day's kind of felt like the same because you're really not going anywhere. And me and my wife, we like to travel, and we
Mm,
haven't traveled in a while, so it's but at the end of the day, we're healthy, family's healthy, we're safe, we have our
yeah.
jobs. So I mean, grand scheme of things, we really have nothing to complain about.
We are pretty much in the same space, and the only reason I asked him that is just to let you know the whole world in it is in it together right now. So guys, stay home, stay safe. You do not need to get out unless you absolutely need to. Just like it is for him in Toronto, it's the same for us here in Mumbai, and I'm assuming for the rest of the country as well. We are back in lockdown. I think people took things too lightly. Do not do that. It's not gone away. Everybody is not vaccinated yet. Forget everybody. I don't think 25% of our population is vaccinated yet. So, hopefully, once it starts off, go get your vaccines, but keep your family safe. Stay at home. And fortunately for sneakerheads, that's not much of a problem because you can still buy whatever you want to through Instagram, and there are enough resellers out there who are making you happy and putting a smile on your face. So just be at home, all right? Don't get out unless you absolutely need to. And see there, that's the world that we are living in. Those are my masks which are over there. So do not step out of your house without a mask on your face. Be cool about it if you want to get like these funky masks, but don't get those masks off just yet. Sean, man, I've really enjoyed chatting with you today. Thank you so much for your time. Is there something specific you want to tell the people, your followers who watch you? Hopefully, maybe they found out a little bit more about you today. Is there something you want to tell them before we leave?
I think you kind of covered everything that I want to say. I mean, if you're looking for detailed, professional, comprehensive reviews of your favorite shoes, definitely I'd love to have you on my channel. It's youtube.com/Sean Go. And if you're into sneaker photography, my Instagram is sgo8. And like you said, my podcast, Channel 8 Podcast, any of your major podcast platforms, you'll find it there. So thank you so much for having me.
Hey man, happy to have you on, and let's stay in touch. You've now become one of my international friends, and we'll stay in touch. And maybe the next time there's something really interesting happening in the sneaker world, we could do one more of these together. And that's the best thing about content creators as well. I think it's very important for you to find people that you can connect with and collaborate. Don't just stay in your bubble. I love the fact that he started off his podcast. He started featuring other content creators from the rest of the world on it. And I've enjoyed having Sean on today. So thank you very much, man. Take care of yourself. Stay home. Stay safe.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you so much.
That's pretty much all the time we have for today. Uh, He's told you everything that you need to know. All the links are down here in the description below. Subscribe to both of our channels, hit that bell icon so that you know when we put out new content. You can follow it. And most importantly, don't just leave without giving some feedback. Give us your thoughts, give us comments, hit that like button. All of these things are very important for content creators, because that's how the channel grows, that's how more people discover what we are doing. So if you enjoyed this, please make sure you share it with everybody else. And that's pretty much all the time we have for now. That's Sean Go. My name's Mihir Joshi, and this was the MJ Show.
Hey, I'm Mihir Joshi, and I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon so that you get a notification every time a new video goes up. Hit the like button as well. Leave a comment here for my guests and for me, and share it with absolutely everybody. We will really appreciate it. Make it happen.